You are now tuning in to the Going North podcast with your host, best-selling author, professional speaker, and member of the John Maxwell team, Dominic Dom Brightman. And every Monday and Thursday, we're going to hear the voice of a different author sharing their gifts, stories, and expertise to help you charge forward in life. Now let's get on with the show. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I'm so glad you're listening, baby, because we need to keep the lights on for this wonderful podcast. And help me do so. Today's episode is sponsored by the guest from this podcast, episode 250. My man, the good old JR Justin Rambo himself, with his wonderful coaching program, the Lost and Found program. So if you want to get a nice discount on this awesome personal development program from a good dude from the East Coast of the USA, Justin Rambo, enter the code Lost and Found Going North. That's Lost and Found Going North. You enter in that code and enroll today. You'll receive $200 off the program just because you, my friend, are a listener of this show. Pick up this program, enter that code Lost and Found Going North, and you will advance, my friends. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the highlight reel, builder for authors known as the Going North podcast, where authors sometimes have to fumble their way through my forest of dad jokes to deliver you some great content and inspiration to charge forth into your greatness. We got one heck of a human for you today, folks. My goodness, this guest right here, I got to thank my buddy Nick Sotelo, all the way out on the west coast of the USA, host of the Upgraded Life podcast, hooking me up with this amazing human right here. Heck, he even earned himself a new nickname today because this guy right here, not only is he an author, he's also a fellow podcast host, consultant, coach, speaker, and facilitator that specializes in helping clients turn strategy into action and people doing the best work of their lives. So let's give it up for the amazing, sensational action hero himself, Andy Storch. How you doing today, Andy?
Woo, 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 woo. I am doing great, and I'm excited to be here, Dom. I love your energy, your enthusiasm, your attitude, what you bring to the table every single day. It gets me excited, and I'm glad you reminded me that we were introduced by the great Nick Sotelo, who hosts a great podcast out there on the West Coast. I was on his show a few months back, and we just had a fantastic discussion, and I know we are in for more today, so I'm excited to be here.
Woohoo! That's right. What a big old X-Man. It's great to have you here, Mac. My man's overcoming a lot. He's alive and well and inspiring others to really tap into their greatness, baby.
Yes, sir. Trying to do that every day, just like you.
That's right. Every day, whether it's D-A-Y or D-A-E.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. So my goodness, as with all introductions, I probably missed a bunch of stuff and forgot to put the banana and the cherry on top of this banana split. So mind filling in any cavities I missed about the amazing Andy himself?
Sure. I'll try to keep it pretty brief, but like you said, author, speaker, facilitator, consultant, all that stuff. I specialize in corporate talent developments or training and development for big companies. I run leadership development workshops. I also host a couple podcasts, including the Talent Development Hot Seat, and run a membership community called the Talent Development Think Tank, which is a community for talent development professionals. Also hosted a conference about a year ago and hoping to do that again once things calm down and the COVID goes away. We can get back into hosting conferences. Most importantly, I am a husband and a father. I've got 2 kids. I live in Orlando, Florida, and currently, part of my identity, as you know, I am also fighting testicular cancer, diagnosed a couple months ago and been doing treatment for that. And that is the latest challenge that I get to deal with. And who knows if your listeners, when they'll be listening to this, if I'll be still fighting that or I'll be done with it. But I am determined to get past it and then use that to not only help me in my own life, but inspire and help others along the way. And that is what my mission is. And that's what I'm all about.
Yes, sir, indeed. And I love it, man. I love it, man. Hopefully, by the time this is out, things will be even better than before for you, my friend, because it's definitely rough. Like, cancer's bad, period. But testicular cancer, like, it's a whole nother level.
It's been a rough road, man. Lots of pain and discomfort and some challenging times. Had to put a lot of things on hold. I know we're here to talk about my book today. I published the book in November, had surgery right after that, and I did some interviews. You and I had an interview scheduled, and I ended up having to cancel or postpone a ton of stuff while I was, basically on the couch. But I had to keep in mind, and this is a reminder for everybody that, we always have to think about what our priorities are, and they're shifting all the time, and there's a season for everything. And sometimes we're heavily focused on work or a project, and it's about our family, our relationship. And for me, lately, my top priority has been my health and healing my body. And so even if I can't work, I can't do those interviews or marketing or promotion or whatever that I want to do, I've got to remember that my health is paramount. It's the number one most important thing. That my goal is to live a long, healthy life, to be here for my wife, to be here for my children, to be here for myself, and to be here for the world, because I know I have a lot left to do. I've got a mission to inspire thousands of people to live their life more intentionally. And so I've got to make sure that I rest and I heal and I take care of my body, and then I can get back out there, jump back into the next project, whatever it may be. Make sure I take care of my family, all that stuff. But sometimes we got to make some shifts. We got to figure out what our priorities are, and then we've got to make sure that we put our time in the right place. And that's what I've been doing.
Heck yeah, I can say that again, man. And it's so true. It's like it's that classic reminder. Heck, even with the classic analogy, the story folks like to allude to is the fact that hey, you got to put on your oxygen mask first before putting it on someone else. Like your health matters because you won't be able to really light other people up if you yourself or have no flame.
Yeah, that's a great reminder. I mean, it's a good metaphor. The idea of putting your oxygen mask on first. You think about it. If I want to be here to support my family and be here for my wife and kids and for my friends and for others for a long time, then I've got to put that oxygen mask on, right? I've got to take care of my health. I've got to make that a top priority. And even if you're not dealing with cancer, you're just living that regular life like I was doing a few months ago. It's really important that you do focus on taking care of your health, taking care of yourself, eating healthy, going to the gym, all that sort of stuff, so that you can be around longer to help take care of other people. Besides the oxygen mask metaphor, the other one I always like is filling up your cup, so that when it overflows onto the saucer, you're free to give that out to other people. But when you don't fill your cup up, then you have nothing extra to give to anybody else. So it's really important that you do take care of yourself. I know you probably, knowing you, Dom, you've probably got a lot of people in your audience who are givers, who love to help other people like I do. And we have to remind ourselves that it's not selfish to take care of yourself, that the more energy you put into taking care of yourself, the more energy you'll have to give and to take care of others.
Amen to that. Amen to that. But man, I have to start putting on the preacher's robe for that one, man, because it's so darn true.
Yes, sir.
So darn true it did. So my goodness, man. So in speaking of really just taking care of yourself and taking care of your health and health being your magical wealth in your fabulous book, Own Your Career, Own Your Life. One of my favorite parts of the book is I'd say probably in the first third of the book where it even talked about the power of networking and the fact that you actually gave people some wonderful tips that probably isn't mentioned too much when you're asking for referrals because sometimes folks makes mistakes when they ask a little too much in the beginning if they're just doing it for the first time. So, am I filling in any cavities for folks who may need to be reminded for asking for introductions with other people?
Yeah, networking and building relationships has been a really big and important part of my career and my success. And that's why I wrote a couple chapters about that in the book. Because no matter what career you're in, no matter what business you're in, you can always benefit from going out and building a network, building relationships, making connections, making friends, because you never know where that might lead you. And when you think about, the jobs you've gotten in your own career or the jobs you might want to get, or the career changes you might want to make in the future, it's always easier when you have that entry, you have that connection, you have that person that is referring you in or making that introduction, versus applying cold on a website or something like that. And almost every job I've gotten in my career has been through an introduction, through a relationship. Every business opportunity I've gotten has been through a relationship. So I always want to remind people that it's so important that you don't wait until you get laid off or you're desperate, that you dig your well before you're thirsty. You start working on that now. And that when you do, you take the right approach. You lead with curiosity, you lead with empathy, you look for ways to help others. And you don't ask for too much. Like you said, I think that some of the mistakes some people make is they're just thinking, what's in it for me? You go out and meet somebody and think, what am I going to get out of this? Or you go to a networking event and think, well, what am I going to get? Am I going to get some clients from this? Who can I do business with? And sometimes, and then you come off a little bit as too needy or too desperate. You have that virtual coffee or that meeting with somebody and you start asking them for things right away. Well, that can be a little bit off-putting, right? When you meet somebody new and they start asking you for stuff right away and you're thinking, I don't really know them that well. I don't know you well enough to maybe put your resume in front of my boss or to give you this help that you're asking for. But if you take the other approach and you take the approach of curiosity, where you're mostly asking questions of the other person, trying to learn from them, and you're looking for ways to help and support them, and then you get to a place of trust and rapport, you can start asking for things from them. But hopefully, you show them that you are a giving, caring person, a trustworthy person, and it makes them want to look for ways to help you. That's usually what happens. But you just got to be a little bit careful. It's a balance, right? And it's the same thing I talk about. It's okay to ask for help. It's great to ask for help if you meet somebody who's in an industry that you're in or you want to get into. You may want to ask them for a couple introductions to other people you can talk to. It's great. And if they provide that, awesome. But then if you go back to that well too many times, hey, can you give me more? Can you give me more? That can be off-putting as well, right? So it's a lot of EQ, I guess, where you think about that balance of reaching out to people, being curious, looking for ways to give value, talking to them, waiting for the time to be right, and asking for that introduction or asking for that help is okay. But when you go a little bit too far, sometimes it can be off-putting to others. So you got to kind of try to read the other person, read the room. But most importantly, it starts with go out, meet people, talk to people. If you're looking to change jobs or careers or industries, find the people that are doing the thing that you want to do. Ask them, LinkedIn, I love for this. Reach out to people, connect with them, ask them if they'll do an informational interview with you. Can you get on the phone or Zoom for 20 minutes so I can just ask you questions about your job? I'm not asking you for anything else. Just want to ask you questions about what you do, see what I can learn from you. And you never know where that might lead. Maybe you learn something, maybe they're impressed with you and they want to make an introduction to somebody else. But it starts with finding that right person and making that ask. And that's what networking is all about.
Heck yeah, I can say that again. You can definitely say that again. Heck, even remember listening to some of your past content, and it's kind of genius when I first heard you actually mention how you actually started interviewing your future clients for one of your earlier podcasts, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. So when I started my talent development podcast, the main goal with that was to use it to get meetings with potential clients, with those hard to reach people. And that's because, a lot of people are very busy, right? They're getting a lot of cold emails and LinkedIn messages and things from consultants like me. And I was looking for a way to stand out. That's another key. Like when you're going out and networking, look for ways to stand out. Don't be crazy, but if you're meeting in person, can you dress nicer than the other people in the room? Put a big smile on your face, show that you care about other people. In this case, I'm reaching out cold to a lot of, directors, VPs, executives in the talent development space. And a lot of times they don't have time to meet with every consultant that reaches out to them. But I offered them something that was of value to them. I said, hey, I've got this podcast. Could I interview you and showcase some of your knowledge and experience? And that gives them something of value because now I've got a platform that I can use to showcase their expertise. And many of them may not have something like that or don't know how to go out and build their brand. And so I'm giving them giving them an opportunity. And then we get on Zoom, we start chatting, we build a relationship, and you never know where that might lead. Some of those guests have turned into clients. Many of them have turned into friends. Some of them have spoken at the conference that I hosted. And it just allowed me to continue to build a bigger network and a brand in this space. And it becomes easier and easier to reach out to people. For instance, going back to September of 2020, I hosted a virtual summit called the Talent Development Virtual Summit. I had 32 speakers in that summit, and most of them I already had some type of relationship with. And so it was an easy ask to say, hey, I'm hosting this summit. Can I interview you? Would you speak on this? Would you help me promote it? And almost everybody said yes. There were a few people that turned me down because they didn't have time. They were working on a book or whatever it may be. But most people were excited to jump at the chance. And it's because we had built that relationship via the podcast or something else. And as a result, the virtual summit went really well. We had nearly 2,000 people register. As I said, I had 32 speakers on there. And I used that again to build further relationships with a lot of those speakers. And now, any of them, whether they're clients or, authors, thought leaders, whatever it may be, are people I can call that I can reach out to and talk to and do stuff with. And that all goes back to reaching out and asking them, inviting them on the podcast or the summit, giving them a platform, a way to share some of their expertise, which makes them look good and associates me with them, which makes me look good. And as I'm talking, I'm remembering that some of them I haven't reached out to in a while, and I need to reach back out, because then once you have that, establish that, whether it's a podcast, a book, a blog, virtual summit, whatever you're using to make those connections, like you and I are doing now, then it's up to you to keep in touch, right? To reach back out from time to time. One of the things I do now is I mentioned I host this, I run this membership community, and we bring in guest speakers on a monthly basis. So I'll reach back out to some of those podcast guests, those experts, those thought leaders, and invite them to come speak in the community. And that again gives them a chance to showcase some of their expertise, build their network further, kind of prop them up in front of a room, a virtual room on Zoom, and build their brand a little bit. And then of course it always helps me, because I'm now associated with that person, at kind of an equal level, and it helps me build my brand as well. So I always think that's a great idea. Doing what you've done, Dom, start a podcast. Some people do it with blogs or books where they'll do interviews, and it's just a great way to make those connections and help the other person as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Making all them connections, making a giant spider web, baby. That's right. A spider web of positivity and awesomeness.
That's it right there. Yeah. You think about weaving it all together, building that network. Some people get turned off by the term, but it's really just about building a lot of relationships, right? And when appropriate, making introductions, connecting people. I love connecting people and making introductions. It's got to be appropriate, right? But people really appreciate that too. If it's a great introduction that can help, that's mutually beneficial to each other. And I like getting introductions to other people as well when it's something that can benefit me. And I know I can help the other person. And it's just continuing to weave that spider web, like you said.
Yes, sir. Indeed. You can say that again because it's so darn true and you're so darn right. And those are really some solid examples of really just making sure you set yourself apart in a good way and not going too crazy with it. It's not like you're running around with a yellow suit and a hat that's shaped like a giant penguin or something. Like you've actually decided to make a platform and actually make it something that would really raise some eyebrows and some antennas, like, ooh, like, oh, a podcast. I have no idea what the heck that is. It sounds good. Let me get on there. And out of nowhere, they get a further opportunity down the road if they made a good impression past the interview, they liked the rapport that you had, and they get on a virtual summit, and then they get introduced to that. And further introductions down the road, it just really creates just a huge bank of relationship positivity right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the beautiful thing about this is, especially with your virtual summits, is well, I guess virtual summits and conferences that kind of go hand in hand since we can't do the whole face-to-face thing. But if I'm not mistaken, this book of yours, part of it started because you were in a conference one day and you just decided to write one after hearing one of the speakers, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, that's right. I've long been big on going to conferences to meet people. It's also a great way to meet the speakers, people you look up to that you wouldn't normally get a chance to meet. They're usually hanging out at a lot of these conferences. And so you get a chance to meet people and get inspired, and of course connect with other really great people. And when I look at going to conferences, a lot of people look at the speakers and think, what am I going to learn from those speakers? I always ask the question, who am I going to meet? Who else is going to be in the audience? Are there people here there that I want to connect with? And I'm talking about conferences, even though, you and I are recording this early in 2021. We're still in the middle of the pandemic. There still aren't probably going to be any conferences this year, but they're going to come back likely in 2022. And we'll get back to going to conferences, and I'll be hosting and going to more conferences. But this whole idea for the book started back in November of 2019. I was at the Youpreneur Summit, which is a conference about personal branding hosted by Chris Ducker in London. And it was the second year in a row I'd gone to that conference. And it was because the speakers are great, but I didn't know who any of the speakers were. I went because I I made so many friends from that conference, so many great people who are also building personal brands and working on different businesses. And when I was there in November 2019, I heard a great speaker named Jeff Goins, who has written some really successful books, and he talked about how to write your next successful book. Hal Elrod was also the closing keynote speaker who talked about writing a bestseller. So the ideas were coming together. I knew I wanted to write a book at some point, had no idea what it would be, when it would be. I wasn't in any kind of rush to do that. But then when I heard Jeff Goins speak, and then over lunch, I got interviewed by my friend Philip Van Dusen, who has a really popular YouTube channel about digital marketing. And he was interviewing me for his YouTube channel. And then we started chatting afterwards, and we were talking about networking and building a personal brand. And one of the things I had noticed was a lot of advice in this space seemed to be geared more towards entrepreneurs. And what I heard for corporate professionals, a lot of the advice I heard was, well, if you don't like your job, you need to quit the 9 to 5 and go become an entrepreneur, run your own business. And I'd hear that all the time. And I thought, that's great. I mean, it worked for me, right? I left corporate and became an entrepreneur and went on to run my own business because that's what I truly wanted to do. I followed my dream and my passion, but that's not for everybody. Most people, or at least a lot of people, are not either not cut out for that, or they're not interested. They're not interested in the risk. You know, everybody's different. Everybody has different interests, different ways they want to run their life, and there's no right or wrong. And I thought it would be great to create something for those corporate professionals, people who don't necessarily want to run their own business, but want to have a happy, healthy career, who want to be happy and fulfilled, who want to follow their dreams and get the most out of their career and their most out of life, and really help them take ownership of that and prepare for the future of work by doing things like investing in learning, building a network, and building a personal brand. And I didn't see a lot of people speaking to that. And so the idea kind of hit me like a lightning bolt, you know, while I was having that conversation with my friend Philip in London. And I came back and I talked to a few friends about it. And then I realized I had given a couple talks in 2019, one at an HR conference, the other one for a client up in New York. And one of them was about owning your career. The other one was about preparing for your next career or for the future of work. And I took the outlines from those talks, those speeches, and they filled out more than 2/3 of the book that I wanted to write. And so then it was just a matter of sitting down and starting to write it. And I just set a goal to write 500 words a day. And I got up early and I just wrote every single morning for about 3.5 months. And I got the book knocked out. And then, of course, there was editing and formatting and all that stuff. But the idea, initial idea hit me at that conference. And then I realized I had a lot of the content from talks I had put together. And this was the advice that I wanted to make sure that I gave to people about how to take ownership of their career, how to take ownership of their life, how to prepare for the future, with some of my own stories and stories from others woven in to kind of show how all this stuff works.
And fabulous job on the book too. I feel like this is a book that every person should get while they're in college. And even if you're past college, you never read a book since you left college, like this is definitely a book to pick up because, like you're right, Andy, like a lot of folks nowadays, it feels like entrepreneurship is almost like the fad of today, especially since a lot of people are out of work. It's like, oh, if you don't like your 9 to 5, go ahead, start your own business and take over the world, make your $1 million, get like 2,500 million trillion followers on all your social media accounts, dominate it all. But it's like not like somebody's got to work like at companies, man. It's not everybody needs to be a business over that. There has to be employees too, and everybody's
Right.
not built for entrepreneurship.
Yeah, very true. I mean, everybody works differently. Everybody has a different risk tolerance. Some people are very happy to be employees. They just want to be appreciated and feel like they're giving value and they're getting value and they're able to grow in their careers. And that's a lot of what I talk about with the talent development podcast I host, and in the discussions we have in our talent development community is how do we make sure that our employees have an opportunity to grow in their careers. And, there was a time in my career where I think I would have been happy staying in corporate and working for a company as long as I felt like I was able to grow and leverage my strengths. And I didn't get that opportunity. I ended up in a series of jobs that just didn't really fit me or my strengths. And then at some point, I discovered personal development and started really doing a lot of self-reflection and getting to know myself and my strengths and things that I really enjoyed doing, and decided that I really wanted to pursue this idea of entrepreneurship and running my own business. But again, that's not for everybody, and that's okay. There's no right or wrong, right? And I want to make sure that for people that whether you want to go run your own business or you want to just have a happy career working for a cool company or a great employer, that you have the tools that you need to take ownership of your career, that you're not waiting for others to tell you what to do. You're not waiting for your boss or your parents or your colleagues to tell you what to work on next or what role you should take or where you should go, but that you set a vision for your own career. You think about where you want to go. And you set goals based on that vision that you can go out and attain. And then you do the things that you need to do to prepare yourself for the future of work, for future job changes, for that future layoff or that job opportunity, by continuously learning, by building your network and building your personal brand, and then developing the right mindset, that growth mindset that allows you to pivot and change and adapt to every situation, because change is going to come. And the more prepared we are, 2020 showed us that, right? The change is going to come. Nothing is ever stays the same. And we're never fully prepared for whatever comes around the corner. But the more we do these things that I've laid out in the book, the better prepared you are for those big changes that come in your career.
That's right, folks. That's right indeed. You will have all the metaphorical toilet paper for your career when you pick up this book, folks. That's right. You won't have to fight like folks did early last year.
That's right. That's right. Be prepared. Buy that 30 pack of toilet paper in a metaphorical sense for your career, and you'll be better prepared for whatever comes.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, maybe I should go like a pack of water. Maybe that'll probably be a better metaphor.
There you go.
I was thought about like, wait a second. I think that was a bad metaphor.
I think they know what you mean.
Okay, that's good. That's good indeed. So my goodness, so since this is one of your first interviews back on the interview train side of the game, is there a question that you've been waiting to be asked since you've been taking a break for your health and all that good stuff?
I don't know. I don't know if I've been waiting to be asked any particular question. I don't know. What question is burning in your mind that you were afraid to ask or you didn't think about asking? Put it back on you.
Oh man, there's like so many. Heck, like the first one is like, okay, which one should I ask?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, but yes indeed, yes indeed. But what I do love the fact is that another great part of the book is that you even touched a bit on it earlier, is that you should make introspection a habit, and you're able to really find and develop your strengths. Since I believe you're an extrovert, right?
I do consider myself an extrovert. I definitely get and sort of in the Myers-Briggs sense, I feel like I get my energy from being around others. I do enjoy and appreciate my quiet alone time every morning to do some reading and writing and things like that. But I do get my energy from being around others.
Amen to that. Amen to that. That's some powerful self awareness right there. So, for the folks who are out there in their career and they may be realizing, okay, maybe not entrepreneurship ain't for me. I want to have a steady paycheck and I need to I need to discover my strengths again. What helps you to really find your strengths to really help you really take yourself over the edge and all the way to the top and beyond?
Well, there's it's a great question, Dom. There's a lot of other books and exercises out there you can do. I think it starts with some introspection, which is sitting down with a journal and a quiet space, 20, 30 minutes at least on your own with no distractions, and thinking about what are the things that I'm really good at, and be honest with yourself. We are I think we're kind of trained or set up in our society to be really humble and not acknowledge our strengths sometimes. But be honest with yourself. What are the things that you're really good at? What do you get acknowledged for at work? People tell you, wow, you did a great job at that, or you're really good at that, you should do more of that. And you can think of work related things. It could be non-work related things like drawing or art or singing or whatever. Just what are all the things that you're really good at? What are the things that you really enjoy doing? And some of those things may overlap, and sometimes it might be something that maybe you enjoy doing, but you're maybe not that good at. Like, I love singing to music, but I'm probably not that good at it. That's okay. Put that down. What are the things you enjoy doing? What are your weaknesses? What are the things that you're not very good at? And you can even divide those up into things that you feel like you can improve and things that maybe you can't overcome. For instance, one of the weaknesses that I have, so I have many strengths, such as speaking, facilitating, connecting with others, things like that. one of my weaknesses that held me back a lot in my career was I'm not very detail oriented. So if I was working on data analysis or project management, there would always be details that would fall through the cracks because it was just not my strength. And some weaknesses you can work on improving. That's one of those things that's very natural to me. And I could work on it my entire career, but it's hard to overcome. So if I was pursuing a career as a data analyst or a computer programmer or something like that, I probably wouldn't be as successful because I was pursuing something that relied so much on something I'm not very good at. So be honest with yourself, strengths, weaknesses. What do you enjoy doing? What do you not enjoy doing? And then think about your values, and you can look up a values exercise. You can Google this. There's plenty of them out there. And developing your values is really acknowledging and understanding what are your top priorities? What are the things that are most important to you? And you look at a list of all these potential values like integrity and happiness and freedom and money and health and fitness and all this stuff. And you look at them and they're like, yeah, I want all of these things. They all sound great. But then you force yourself to sit down and prioritize and figure out what is the most important thing to you. And that helps you decide, how do you make decisions? For example, the classic trade-off I always love is, people might say, well, health is very important to me. And so is socialization and being around other people. But what's more important, and you can figure that out by asking yourself, when 5 o'clock rolls around and you're planning to go to the gym, but your friends also invite you to happy hour, what do you choose? And what you choose kind of informs what your higher value is, right? And there's no right or wrong answers, but if it's fitness, you're going to skip happy hour and go to the gym. And if socializing is more important to you than health and fitness, you're going to skip the gym and you're going to go to happy hour, right? And you're going to go hang out with your friends. So you get to decide. There's no right or wrong answer, but figure out what those are. Do that introspection to think about those things, and then go to your friends, your colleagues, a manager maybe, and ask, hey, what do you see as my strengths? What do you see as my weaknesses? Where do you think I could really excel if I made a shift in my career? What do you see me doing differently that maybe I could do better? Ask some of those hard questions and get some of those answers, some of that feedback, because they may see things that you don't see. People may see things that you're really great at that you don't even recognize. One of my favorite exercises to do is from a book called Multipliers by Liz Weissman. There's an exercise in there called the Native Genius exercise, where you work with a team and you take turns sharing with each other what are the strengths that you see in them, something they're natively good at. They're just better than anybody else. And oftentimes we don't even realize what our own strengths are, but other people see it. Hey, you're a really great writer, or you're a really great communicator, or you're so detail oriented, you catch everything, or you make sure that we always get stuff done. You're such a great collaborator, a team player, whatever it may be. People on your team may see that and recognize it more than you do. And when you can start to put those things together, then it's easier to start to think about, okay, where would I, or how could I benefit from making some changes in my career? Am I in the right job? Do I need to be doing something that's maybe more detail oriented or less detail oriented? Do I need to be working with people more? You might find yourself like me, an extrovert who has been in some analytical jobs where it's okay. I enjoy, playing around with a spreadsheet, but realistically, I excel when I'm around people. So I really need to be in more of a sales type job or something where I'm working with people all the time. It might be the opposite for you. Maybe you're in a job where you're working with people, but you think, man, I really just like to sit in a dark room and look at a computer all day. That's fine. So my book can help with that. Another book I recommend that is really useful for that is a book called Designing Your Life. And that book has some great exercises you can do as well. I mentioned that book in my book where you can think about what are those strengths. And oftentimes when you do this reflection, you realize that, a lot of times people are unhappy in their job or their career, and they think they need to change and go get a job at a different company. But it might just require one little tweak. Maybe you change your schedule. You spend a little bit more alone time in the morning, so you get some quiet work time done, or more time working around other people, or maybe change your commute, or maybe it's just your manager. Everything else is great, and you need to have a tough conversation with them to figure out how to work better together. And when you figure out what you really want to do, the next step, if you do work for a company, is to be willing to have that conversation with your manager to say, hey, here's where I am right now. This is where I think I'd like to be. I'd really like to try getting into HR or marketing, or I really want to get a promotion, or I really want to, be able to spend more time doing X or Y, and see if they have ideas or advice for you. One of the things that comes up a lot when I'm working with organizations is that a lot of professionals, people are frustrated because they don't feel like they're getting the coaching or advice they want or need from their managers. But the trouble is a lot of managers, they don't know how to have that conversation, and they don't know what their people want. They don't know what you want. So they don't know how to coach you or give you advice. So you can make it a lot easier for them by going to them and saying, hey, I've done this reflection. This is what I'm thinking, where I think I'd like to go with my career. What do you think? Can you support me in this? And you might be pleasantly surprised to hear that your manager is happy to support you wherever you want to go in your career. They just didn't know what you wanted to do before. And so you're giving them a lot more ammo. You're giving them something to work with and something, they can help you with. And if it happens that you don't have a very good manager, you don't have a very supportive manager, and they just say, I don't care where you want to go with your career. This is the job you're in right now, and this is what I need you to do, which has happened to me multiple times in my career. Then it might be time to make a change. Then it might be time to look for another job. That happened to me multiple times in my career. I was in a job that just wasn't really wasn't leveraging my strengths, and wasn't really getting me excited. And so I went to my manager and said, hey, I think I'd like to try this other thing, do something a little bit different to leverage my strengths. And they said no. And that's okay. That was their right. And so I eventually moved on. I got a different job and went somewhere else. And I'm grateful that all that happened, because it's all part of my journey to get me to where I am today. And where I am today, I absolutely love what I do. And I feel like I'm perfectly positioned to achieve my goals and my dreams and go after my career. And you too, if you're listening to this, no matter where you are, no matter what struggles you've gone through to get to where you are perfectly positioned. You are in the right place right now to start the next phase of your career and get to where you want to go. But it starts with taking ownership. It starts with taking responsibility for your entire career, for your job, for your situation, not complaining, not waiting for others, not sitting around in reaction mode, but being responsible, setting your intention, setting a vision, setting goals for where you want to go, write them down, talk to people about it, ask for help, and then start taking action towards that. Don't wait for anybody else. And you will be a lot happier and more fulfilled when you are setting that intention, you are setting those goals, you are taking action, and you are taking full responsibility, and you're not waiting for anybody else. And that is what I really want people to be thinking about and doing, Mr. Dom.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about, baby. That's what I'm talking about. The reverend's in the building, baby. That's the torch for career and talent development, baby. That's what I'm talking about right there. The amazing Andy. Heck, that reminds me of one of my favorite questions I highlighted in the book is, what does this experience make possible? Like, dude, like that's what you're able to make possible. It's like, hey, how's it going, boss? I want to be even more valuable for the company. Can I do this thing? No.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, fine. All right. I'll go to another company. Wait, what? Later. And then you go, oh yeah, oh sweet. The tree swag is happening. I'm growing and making this company better. Oh, wait. Up. This ain't enough. All right, let me go into entrepreneurship. Yeah. Now I get to own my life.
And that might be the answer, right? It may be that you want to try your hand at starting your own business, starting a podcast, whatever you want to do. No matter how old you are, 20, 30, 40, 50, you probably got a lot of time to try stuff. And I want people to experiment, follow your curiosity, follow your dreams, because we only get one life. And if you're thinking about doing something like that, you're thinking about making a career change, thinking about having that tough conversation with your manager, but I know you're afraid to do it. I've totally been there. I've had that fear. Remember that courage is not the lack of fear. Courage is recognizing that fear and taking action anyway. And if you need some extra motivation, think about getting to the end of your life and what will you regret more? Will you regret not taking that chance, or will you regret, playing it safe? Or will you regret avoiding that failure, or would you regret failing? What would you regret more, and what would you appreciate more? For most people, at least for me, I want to take that chance and have the satisfaction and know, like, hey, at least I gave it a shot, even if I failed, versus playing it safe and never trying to do that thing.
You can say that again. You can definitely say that again. Follow your curiosity, folks. Follow that curiosity. That's right. Don't worry. It may kill cats, but it doesn't kill you. That's right. Follow your curiosity.
That's right.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is, if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time in 2021 with all of your amassed knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
Well, I think it would be just what I was just talking about. And, before we started recording, I think you made a comment, something to the effect of, I wish I had this book earlier in my career. And that's why I wrote this book. I wrote it for me earlier in my career. I wish many, many, many people have told me, I wish I had this book earlier in my career. And I said, yeah, me too. That's why I wrote it. I wrote it because I wish that I had this book earlier in my career. And that's okay. It's available now. And wherever you are in your career, again, if you're 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, you still have a lot of years in front of you. You still have an opportunity to take ownership. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. It doesn't matter what mistakes you've made in the past. You are in the perfect position right now. You are in the driver's seat for your career and your life, and you have an opportunity to take ownership and take responsibility. You have an opportunity to set goals and start taking action. You have an opportunity to invest in yourself. That includes money and time. You have an opportunity to go out and build a network. You have an opportunity to learn new things. You have an opportunity to go build your brand and your reputation. You have an opportunity to change careers if you so want to do so, or start a business if you want to do so, or just make some tweaks and have that conversation with your manager. You have an opportunity to do all these things. There is nothing holding you back at this point. We are all in a different position. We all have different resources and different situations. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy. It might be easier for some people than others, but the opportunity is there. And you, if you have that dream, if you have that thing you want to do, read the book, write down your ideas, figure out what you want to do, set some goals, make a plan, and then go take some action, try some things. It's not going to work out perfectly. You're going to fail. You're going to stumble. You're going to run into challenges. But at the end of the day, you will be glad that you took that chance and that you took some action versus sitting on the sideline waiting for someone else to tell you what to do. And that is what this is all about. It's about owning your life, about owning your career, owning your life, preparing for the future, and taking full responsibility for everything going on.
There you go, folks. Take that ownership, baby. So, for those sitting on the sidelines right now and want to grab a copy of your book and keep up with all the amazing stuff you're doing, Andy, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you?
Well, we've got the book is available on Amazon. It's called Own Your Career, Own Your Life. That's the easiest place to go get it. Of course, we have a website, ownyourcareerownyourlife.com, where you can get signed copies of the book. We have free resources there. Everything is there on that website. We also have a free Facebook group where you can come join. And I've got a resource there as well. I put together a report of the top 5 most common career mistakes that people make. I surveyed my network, asked everybody about the biggest career mistakes that they've made, collected those. So there were some great ones in there. I put together a list of the top 5, and because I don't want people to make these mistakes. And you can go grab those by going to ownyourcareerownyourlife.com/mistakes. That's ownyourcareerownyourlife.com/mistakes. And again, there's other free resources there. We've got a Facebook group, everything. But get the book, work through it. There's a workbook as well on Amazon, a journal that you can use to help track your progress. And then connect with me, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever it is. Reach out. Let me know that you listen to this interview, that you listen to Dom, and that you're taking action. That's what I love to hear. And just go do it.
Woohoo! Well, there you have it, folks. Grab some copies of his book, my friends. Own Your Career, Own Your Life. Grab one, grab 100, grab 100,000. It doesn't matter the number. Just grab it. Tell your friends, tell your penguins, tell your cat about it. And heck, the cat could have a better career. It could graduate to the full Dewey librarian cat once it picks up this magical book, folks. So definitely grab this book. Change your life. Change someone else's life. Indeed. Indeed and indeed. So, any closing thoughts before we close up shop, Andy?
One more thing I'll add. Just remember this. Nobody cares more about your career than you do. Your mom probably loves you and cares about you. If you have a spouse or kids, they care about you and they care about your career. Your friends care about you, but nobody really cares more about your career than you do. So you've got to be the one to take that ownership, to take that responsibility, and to set your goals and your intention and take that action, because nobody else is going to do it for you. It's got to be you. And that's what I've been trying to do with my career and my life. And I know you are, Dom, and I hope others are doing the same.
You just got done listening to another powerful, power packed episode of the Going North podcast. I hope you really enjoyed what you heard. You made it all the way to the end. You get to hear all sorts of goodness. I was the best, but you just got done hearing some goodness. Go check out the guest stuff. It's all in the show notes on the website, dombrightman.com, and also reach out to those that you've just heard as well, and keep rocking it. because you yourself are phenomenal for making it this far, and keep going north.